Welcome to All Gen Gamers, a podcast for people in video games of all generations. Starring Pete Dorr, Happy Console Gamer, Gamester81, and Jason Heine.
So guys, welcome to episode 61 of All Gen Gamers. I'm one of your hosts, Johnny Millennium of the Happy Console Gamer Show. And we're joined by the always beautiful Emulator Review, Jason Heine.
Very sassy. Hello.
I enjoyed doing that, actually.
I like it.
And we are also joined by the incredible Pete Dorr.
What is going on?
It's exciting as usual.
Not quite as sexy as John.
Yeah, not quite as good. And with a bit of a delay on his mic is John Gamester81. How you doing, John?
What's going on, guys? How you guys doing?
Pretty good. And we're actually doing really well tonight. We're actually doing happily well because we're joined by another super happy guy.
I saw what you did there.
Oh, you saw when I did that. I'm bringing him in, Mr. Derek Alexander, the happy video game nerd.
Double happy. We're having a great time. Got the happy console gamer. Got me, another happy guy.
Yeah. Well, we'll actually talk about how I met Derek at PAX. We'll talk about that in a little bit, and how we want to bring him definitely onto the podcast. But Derek, why don't you tell us a little bit about your YouTube show and your humble beginnings on YouTube? Because you started before us, probably around 4 years ago now?
Yeah. The happy nerd just turned 4.
Wow.
Just man, I can't believe I've been doing this BS for as long as I have.
That's funny. It's funny because I first came onto YouTube, and this is an interesting thing for a lot of people who make shows now, is that when I was doing searches for like video game reviews, there wasn't a lot of guys doing it, and you were one of the few doing it at the time. I remember another guy called Jedite. I don't know if you remember that guy, but
I think I do. I came like there's James. Came in right when YouTube started, and then he inspired a whole group of people to he inspired a whole group of people to start reviewing, and I came kind of after that because that community kind of started to wane and kind of fall off, and that's when I jumped in, and I don't really know where I don't know. I can't really say where I am in that community, but I definitely watched a lot of Jedi and the Undercover Filmmaker comes to mind, and Armec 21. I remember him. Yeah, a lot of these names they're not around anymore, and I forget them. But I was watching their videos before I started doing my own.
It's really weird. That was a time on YouTube when we've talked about it, and I don't think people believe the time ever existed, but it did, when there wasn't a lot of channels on YouTube, and it was really a brand new frontier for people to start doing reviews. And absolutely, James inspired yourself. He inspired me. I think all of us have been inspired by James in one way or another. He was a real pioneer.
Well,
in that he did that. Yeah.
James a lot, but I think I owe James a little more than some people.
Yeah, well, explain your show then. Talk about it and how it began, and what it's turned into now per se.
If I can, I would like to think that my show started one place and has led to another. My show started as not only as a response to James' work, because I am a fan. I'm still a fan. And also I've met James many times and couldn't be a nicer guy. Total class act and gentleman and a cool dude. So I got nothing but love for that guy. But a lot of his imitators, I would watch their shows, and frankly, some of them were not very good. And my show was kind of like, all these people are taking James's idea. Some of them are doing an excellent job with it. A lot of them, I don't know, I felt that they weren't. And so my show was kind of like a reaction to people that were kind of just doing the same thing. And I was like, well, why not do something different? And that's where the idea for the Happy Video Game Nerd came from. So James kind of showed us all that you can review games online in that format. And I was like, I want to do that too. But it was a pretty crowded pool. And then it just occurred to me one day, everyone's doing the angry thing. Why not just do the opposite? It just seemed, I've been always kind of like a punk rock kind of kid. I've never followed trends. I've always just seen what is being done and then tried to do my own thing or something opposite. And that's where the Happy Nerd, that's where it started. It's just like a parody of making fun of the angry reviews and talking about good games. And then as it moved forward, it kind of became like a short documentary series about reviewing games and then giving historical context. And I think a couple of years ago, I really endeavored to be a filmmaker or a YouTube celebrity. But now I kind of think of myself as more like a critic or a documentarian, and what I want to do with the Happy Nerd is just it kind of was this nebulous evolution.
Well, it's funny. I remember we talked about it when we met at PAX. Is that when I was going to go do some reviews, I'm like, oh, I really want to because one of my favorite games is Earthbound. I'm like, I got to do a review on Earthbound. And I didn't know if I wanted to review it or just talk about it, gush about it. And if I typed in Earthbound and your review came up. And I watched it and I was like, God damn it. He said exactly what I wanted to say about it. And I was like, And I've never reviewed Earthbound because of that you did it and that you did such a good job with it.
Oh, thank you. Right back at you. I reviewed Ninja Warriors a couple years back, and I bought the game on Super Nintendo on a whim. It was like a $10 game. It was ninjas. I'm like, yeah, I never heard of it. How bad could it be? And I was blown away by how amazing that game was. And started writing a review like that night, started writing the script for it. And then I went online and I saw that the only other person who had reviewed it was Happy Console Gamer.
And it's funny, I didn't write a script for it. That's in my very early days.
Well, that's the thing is I watched your video and I actually was like, oh shit, well I can't do, I can cuss, right? I'm sorry.
Of course we can, absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Fuck that shit.
Fuck yeah, we do.
Fuck yeah.
Right. Well, I said, fucking shit.
Fuck that.
Someone else has already done it. But it's like different styles. You had you didn't go into a whole lot of depth about the game, but you had like the Sega CD version, and you were talking about the arcade, and you kind of just glossed over the whole series. Like it was a retrospective about the series, which I touched on in my video too. But my video was more about just how great that Super Nintendo game was. So even though you had reviewed it, and for a second I was like, oh, well, I can't do that game. Yeah. Then I was like, well, he's got his style and, I've got mine. And so I went ahead with it anyway.
So, and I know we have, because we have a lot of similar games that we like and that we kind of reviewed. The same thing happened. I think people will find this interesting. I remember I'm like, I have got to talk about Shenmue because I love that game so much.
Oh, yeah.
Like, really super love for that game. And typed it in. And you had just put it up like a few days before. And I watched it and I was like, it was really funny. It's not like I wasn't like angry. It's not like, we're talking about. I watched it. I was like, fuck, this guy got it right. Like he's saying everything I would have did. Like all my plans, plans to write the script for it. It was like, you had just done it. I was like, oh, okay. And I sat on it and I'm like, okay, I'm got to do Shenmue, but I'll do my own thing I'll figure it out. I'll do my own zone on it. And it's funny. And I did my own thing. And it's very different from what you did. You did a very historical, as we talked about. Look back on it.
2 points I want to make on that. First off, I did that. My review of Shenmue was a joke video with my friend Norm, who is the gaming historian, and he has this idea at MagFest because I like to do April Fool's jokes. Because I like to kind of mess with my fans because I know they're smart and they can take a joke. Yeah. He switched shows and he reviewed Rystar. Which is a game that I get a lot of requests for, but I'm not crazy about it. I won't review it because I don't really dig it. Not that I'm not saying it's bad, just like I'm just kind of about it. And I've been getting a lot of requests for Shenmue, but man, the history behind Shenmue and then the talk about the game, it would have been like another Earthbound situation. It would have been like a half-hour video. So I just did the history on it. I even made a joke. I literally winked and nodded at the audience and said, who's got time to review the game and do the history? So with that, like, I didn't really do a review. And I'm not saying that just because somebody else like you or me or anybody has reviewed a video or reviewed a video game on YouTube that you shouldn't review it.
That's the thing. The point that we were getting to here, isn't it? Absolutely.
I used to put that on myself when I first started out. I couldn't tell you specific games, but there were so many ideas I wanted to do, and then somebody else had done it. Screw Attack did a video game vault on it or something like that, and went, well, there goes that idea, and that was a really stupid thing to do. That was I don't know why I had that on myself, and no, just because somebody else has reviewed it.
Well, I think, do you know what it was in the earlier days that you wanted to be original. You didn't want to be like, oh, like, you know, okay, like I won't say some people who have been influenced by James that don't acknowledge him. And they said it's by pure coincidence that they made videos. I think I was personally worried about, I never wanted somebody to say, oh, well, you know, he's copying this person. I never wanted to have that. So in those days, I was kind of a bit more nervy of that. Now, not so much. Like I'm quite ready to talk about Earthbound at one point.
Yeah,
do it my own way.
When people do like make fun of me and give me shit for ripping off the angry video game nerd, I'm like, where the fuck have you been? Like, really? This is still a problem for some people?
Oh, yeah. Do you know what? I think I got to your channel and I saw that, but that's a couple of years ago. I saw that. I don't know if are you still getting that? People really?
Not as much anymore. No, it's calmed way down. And also, I'm a human being, and you Google yourself sometimes, and. One of the reasons why I'm not very popular, I think, is I never got too controversial. Like, so, you know, a lot of other people who were ripped off, very shamelessly ripped off James's stuff, much like I have. But I've met James numerous times. I actually been in a couple of videos. I had him in my MagFest videos, and we were recently in a video together with PAX, and you know, he subscribed to my channel a couple of years back, and. You know, we're not good friends. I don't got him on speed dial, but it's for the longest time, you know, there's been a very quiet but pronounced agreement that we know of each other, and he's kind of given me his blessing. So there hasn't been a whole lot of hate. Whenever somebody brings me up and goes, oh my God, he's ripping off the Angry Nerd. And then someone always points out, yeah, they're friends. See, he was in this video and he subscribed to this channel.
Yeah.
Every single time a flame war was about to erupt, somebody threw some water on it and said, no, they're good. And but I'm really happy though, because I feel like I'm really happy. I'm glad because I feel like that either going viral or being controversial is such a illegitimate way to become popular on the internet. So the audience that I built, I feel like I've earned it through hard work and making good videos. And I never jumped on James's coattails.
Oh, of course not. You haven't. And the thing is, can I just give you props once again, is that in even your latest video, and you know, it's so funny that you do this. It's hilarious that we have very similar backgrounds, I think, growing up playing games, is that you reviewed the Final Fantasy VII demo disc. And you were the first person who's ever mentioned, excuse me, that the music is different in the demo than it is in the actual game. That drove me nuts because I played the demo for months before the game came out. And then the battle music, I was like, it sounds different. I didn't like it as much as the demo. And you did a really good comparison of things that they changed in the demo to the actual game. And it was awesome. And that has nothing to do with any, you know, James thing. Or that's your thing. You know what I mean?
I have a lot of background in music. That I've been a musician longer than I've been, I guess a filmmaker. But that's just the kind of the shit that, you know, I get different strokes. Everyone's got their different personality. Everyone's got their different styles. A couple of years ago, I reviewed Mega Man 9, and a good friend of mine, who I haven't spoken with in a while, but a really good guy by the name of Lee. He did Still Gaming. He also reviewed Mega Man 9, and we both released our reviews on YouTube around the same time. And it was really cool because there was a time when YouTube was small enough, little guys like us could actually get like honors on YouTube, like you know, the most commented in video games for the week. Oh wow, yeah, I remember that. And the two of us were like back and forth, like his was higher rated, but I had more comments or something like that. And I emailed him and I said, hey man, it's cool that the two of us are kind of, you know, going back and forth, because we were up there and like Machinima and all these big YouTubers were all around us, and they have hundreds of thousands of subscribers and millions of views. And then there's Low Fat Jello and Sasha 9, you know, there's Lee and Derek battling. And I emailed him and he was like, oh, but your review's so much better, blah, blah, blah. And I said, shut up, Lee. It's not about that. It's about everyone's got their styles. And we both had our audiences. We were both, you know, moderately popular. So, I mean, everyone's got their different take on everything, and you know, that's review something. It's okay. Yeah,
that's a good point. Like, that's the thing for the audience is that just do, like, because there's a lot of people who you know, listen to the podcast and they do their own shows. Is that just do your own style. Like, no matter what it is, just do your own thing, your own take on it. And as long as you personally enjoy it, right? As long as you enjoy it and you can enjoy your video, that's all that matters. Don't worry about views or like, you know what I mean? Like you can't think like that or you're not going to create a good video.
I mean, don't worry about views, but don't worry about haters. I mean, I got a fair amount of shit from your fans or just from people like, oh, you did, all you did is watch the Happy Console Gamers review of Ninja Warriors and rip them off.
Are you kidding me? Wait a second. Let's rewind here. What happened there? I have no idea about this.
Oh, first off, dude, it's the fucking internet. So, like, I hate people that hate haters.
Yeah.
In the sense that people that whine that, oh, people are saying mean things about me. And like, dude, so what? Big fucking deal. Everybody gets hate. Everybody gets haters. That's like one of the best pieces of advice I can give any new kid out there is like, you're going to get hate. People are going to hate on you and they're going to say stupid, ignorant crap. Like, and it's nothing special. If anything, it's actually a measure of success. So yeah, I got a couple of people that were giving me grief because you had reviewed Ninja Warriors first and you had beat me by like almost a solid year. So it was kind of valid. You did beat me to it. But
we said this. That doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And here's another point that we want to bring up is that it's funny when we met at PAX and that our group kind of met your group and I waited till everybody kind of stopped talking and I just went over to you and I shook your hand and I'm like, hey Derek, and I got the chance to say is that we had just never talked. There was never any animosity between us. We had never talked. It was just one of those things. The internet's a very big place.
We were hanging out and we were both, and I kind of saw you in the corner of my eye, like, oh shit, there's a Happy Console Gamer. Holy fuck.
And that's what I thought about you. I'm like, hey, that's Derek. Like,
and I was like, well, should I talk to him? I mean, like, I don't know. And
I didn't because it was like everybody's kind of there. I didn't want to go, hey Derek, how are you doing? I didn't want to make it all formal. I just wanted it to be very casual because that's the kind of person I am, type of thing. So we got a chance to have a pretty good chat about stuff, and
we never I don't know. We never talked. We never beefed though. We never fought. Yeah. I mean,
no. I actually I always meant to send you a message about the Shenmue video because I really liked it. I was like, God, I'm gonna send him a message, and I just was doing my own shit, and I was like, yeah, I got to remember to do that, like type of thing, and I didn't know. Do you know what? It's one of those things. I kind of maybe thought, I wonder if he reads his messages. I don't know because I know there's a lot of people that don't read their PMs at all.
I definitely used to, but I will say over this last year, over the summer, I've fallen way behind, and I should probably announce that YouTube private messages. I just don't have time to respond to them anymore.
It's broken.
Yeah, it's a terrible system.
The whole system is broken. You think for a company that owns Google, you think it'd be a lot, Gmail, you think it would be a lot better, but yeah, it's broken.
Yeah.
It's like when people get in a string of messages with you and you're going back and forth. It's so hard to keep up with what they told you because it's like, I'll write back to somebody and I'll be like, oh, let me know what you thought of the game or whatnot, whatever. And then they'll get back to me and they're like, oh, I love the game, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, what game did I tell them about again? Like, I can't remember.
So long ago. And
and then
at least they fixed the comments. Now you can look at all your comments and you can sort by like trees or groups. So you can see who responded to what comment.
Yeah.
You can see a whole conversation like, oh, thank God for that.
But okay, here's the thing. That's not all the comments because I'm not, every day I check my comments and you hit approve or whatever, delete them or whatever. So you don't have to see them in your newsfeed anymore. But I think a lot of comments don't show up there, right? Pete, what do you think?
What, through the
responses don't.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
The responses don't show up. If someone responds to you,
emails for that, and then you have to go and sometimes. Well, you can't get caught up in reading messages, but every once in a while I check them, and like lo and behold, there's been a whole argument going on between 3 people on one of my videos, and I had no idea what was going on. And sometimes I want to jump in there and be like, everyone shut up, stop. But I just you can't get involved.
It's horrible too. I heard from a big YouTuber. I won't mention who they were. Nothing to do with our circle of nothing to do with reviewing games, but they said, and this is horrible. Isn't this horrible with YouTube? They said hate on a video is a great thing, and I'm like, why? They're like, well, yeah, if you have ads on there, the people keep going back to the fucking video responding. over and over and over and over and get a massive flame war, and it's good for views. And I'm like, really? That's not the kind of videos that I would want to get. You know what I mean?
I mean, it is, but that's like saying that, like, yeah, taking steroids will get you really buff. Yeah,
It's
but
true.
still
Yeah, I
working
know.
out and exercising legit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
I mean, it's true. Controversy does sell, and there have been, and there's been so many people on the internet, especially in the gaming community, who have just, I think, stoked nerd rage and just made flame wars and gotten very popular off of it. And that's to their credit. They're more popular than me. But I feel that's maybe like an illegitimate way to build your audience, because they were coming for the controversy, not because you were making good videos. But some people do that, and that's to their credit, I suppose.
Yeah. I've always said that I'd rather have a smaller subscriber base and better people any day of the week. It's just, I just wanted somebody, when I came on YouTube, I just wanted anybody to watch some content that I put up, if it was good or bad, and hopefully enjoy it. That's all I ever wanted to. It was kind of weird. As I said, one of my goals, like Derek, was all I wanted to hit was 1,000 subscribers. And I thought, 1,000 people watching an episode, that'd be incredible. And then it kind of keeps going up, and you're kind of surprised by that. You're like, oh shit. And then it kind of gets a little out of hand. It gets a little bit bigger than what you think it's going to get.
There's been many times I've had to have little existential thoughts. Like, I had a goal, and then I met that goal, and then it's like, shit, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Like I want to be a popular reviewer like James Rolfe, and then I became one. And it's like, oh shit, now what?
It's funny that though, isn't it? It really is. It's kind of like your own fulfilling, thing. But I think, you have to be really true to yourself. You have to remember why you make videos. If you're doing videos for money or for, I don't know, I believe it's, see, for me, I really feel like, you should say something important, something that you believe in, something that you like. And that's fulfilling in the end of the day.
Yeah, just,
be
yourself and don't, like we said before, don't copy anyone, and kind of be yourself and be true to who you are. I think that's the key. So, hey, Derek, I wanted to ask you about your podcast. You have a podcast as well, right?
I actually have a two now. I just started another podcast myself. I do one with my
music one.
Cohort. Yeah. My buddy Calvin Hansen, my musical cohort. We're in a band, Starship Amazing, and I'm just as much of a music nerd as I am a video game nerd. So that's just my platform for talking about new records that I'd listened to, and so I don't know that it's as popular with my HVGN audience, but
where can we find that podcast?
Oh, that podcast, it's actually up on iTunes. It's a podcast amazing, but go to starshipamazing.com, and we have a Tumblr, and we have a blog, and we have all our new albums and all our podcasts and other stuff that we're doing. Calvin's also a prolific musician. He's doing other projects that I've been trying to get him to finish, but go to starshipamazing.com, and that's the other thing that I do with Happy Video Game Nerd. Is just Derek Alexander. This is me and my camera and my video games. But Starship Amazing is a collaboration between myself and a really, really good friend who's also, the kid's a musical genius, and I love working with him. And we talk movies and music on our podcast, and we do that every 2 weeks. We used to do it once a week, but we just couldn't keep up. It started interfering with our actual production of music and other things, and so we had to do it fortnightly, because we didn't want to become professional podcasters. We wanted to become professional musicians. But that's what else you can check out.
Well, you got. I'm looking right now. You got 52 episodes, is it?
Oh, is it
52 episodes? Yeah, that's what it says right here.
Is it 52? Oh, Christ!
Yeah. Wow, that's funny, eh?
Yeah,
it adds up quick. Yeah. What is your other podcast?
Derek, what's the Retro Beats too? I saw a link to that.
Yeah, I was saying, like, I had that weird, like, existential crisis a few months back. Like, what do I do now? I met my goals, and I wasn't driven. I wasn't inspired anymore. I was having writer's block, and I just needed to reevaluate my career. And I realized I needed to do more shows. And so I started another show called Is It Really That Bad? Which was kind of like my response to Let's Plays and also angry or bad video game reviews, where I play a really bad game that at the time was evaluated as really shitty. And then I play it again, and I ask, is it really that bad? And the thing about the show is it depends on my first impressions. So it's something I can make quickly. It does not. The purpose of the show is to not have any kind of pre-production. There's no thoughts or thinking that goes into beforehand. I just play it, and then I kind of just let my thoughts flow. And another thing is I've been wanting to do for a really long time is the Retro Beats podcast. That name actually came from another guy who used to be on RetroWare TV. A dude by the name of Mel used to do a show called Retro Beats, but it wasn't a podcast. He would just kind of upload songs he really, really liked because he liked video game music, and he got married and got a job and had to move. And, real life happens, and this internet shit sometimes takes the back burner. So I resurrected the show with his blessing. And I just play 8-bit and 16-bit music and in a podcast format like it would be just like a normal radio show. And the purpose of that show is to present 8-bit and 16-bit music in a way that you could appreciate it like any other genre or format of music. And I say there's no nostalgia required, just a love of music and video games. I don't want to play just Mario and Zelda. Like I want to play video game songs you might not know about. So to ideally like kind of broaden your horizons and your opinions on music. And so also you need to be a music lover, but it also helps to be a video game lover too.
Wow. You're a busy guy.
What's your favorite music? What's your favorite music in a game, Derek?
Oh, my favorite soundtrack?
Yeah.
Oh, so man. He's got a delay on his mic. So
yeah, I got a delay on my brain to answer that question. But probably, Mega Man's 2 and 3 are tied for my favorite games of all time. And a lot of the melodies that I write with with Starship Amazing with my cohort, a lot of that was inspired by the soundtracks in Mega Man's 2 and 3. So that's the easy answer. Yeah. That I could really, to answer that question truthfully, would take like probably 20 minutes.
What is your favorite video game of all time?
Mega Man's 2 and 3 tied.
It is just hands down without a question.
Yeah, that's nice. They're not the best games, but when I think about kind of shaping the person I am as a gamer and the person that I am as a musician, like those are probably the two games I've always gone back to, and they've always just meant a lot to me, and they're also genuinely good.
Oh, I didn't play number 3, but number 2 for me is just, I love number 2 so much.
Yeah, and
it reminds me of being a kid playing that.
The only one that matched number 2 in terms of that like level of perfection. They're both games that are like perfect on a level that cannot be beaten, but only matched. And that's why I think they're like, the debate will rage forever, but I'm just like, why debate? I love them both.
Do you play a lot of new games? I don't know if we talked about this at PAX or not. Do you play a lot of new games?
I had this thing called not getting a job when I graduated from college. So I was broke for years. And no, I did not play Xbox or Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 for so long. I played it at friend's house. But only recently when I finally gained financial stability, and I can thank all my fans for that, I was able to buy an Xbox. And so these last few, I'd say this summer, I've been playing catch up on newer games. And I only ever played retro games because it was just convenient. And it was also, nobody had done a review of Clash at Demon Head yet. So I was going to do that, or it was the retro stuff to me was like fertile soil. Whereas if I was going to review modern games, well, does the internet really need another review?
No, I know. I'm with you on that. I stay hell away from that stuff.
Like, I know people have done well and they review modern games, and that's their thing, and that's fine. But the way I look at it is like, you guys got Gears of War 3 is covered. I'm gonna go.
Oh yeah, I know exactly. Eh? It's so funny. I would never do a Gears of War 3 review.
But I play it like Gears of War. Oh my god, the Horde mode is the best fucking thing ever. Oh god, I love Gears of War.
Oh, I know. I just finished the game the other night. It's fantastic. It's awesome. Number 3 is great. Love it. But so what should we do, guys? Should we talk about games we've been playing recently? Or?
Yeah, do you guys play modern games? Because I know this is kind of like a retro crowd, right?
Yeah, no. So we always have a segment games we've been playing recently, and why did we start off? We'll start off with the king here. I'm sure he's been playing a couple of games. Pete, what have you been playing recently?
Well, I've still been playing some White Knight Chronicles 2, and I'm about at the 50-hour mark with that. Just mainly been playing online. I reached level 50. It's a big grind fest, let me tell you. And the single player, it's much better than the first one, but it's still kind of grating on me because now it's sending me back into areas that were in the first game. I don't know, Johnny, have you been playing White Knight at all?
You know what? It's funny. I was, and then all of a sudden Gears of War came out. It's really, and Gears of War is just awesome. I've been playing with a lot of YouTubers. It's been a lot of fun. I know you won't play that, will you, Pete? Will you get that again?
Well, I'll get it eventually, maybe, because I've totally passed. I love Gears 1, the online, and the single player was pretty good. I totally passed on Gears 2 altogether. So I felt like I didn't really have a reason.
It was a mistake. Gears 2, actually, I think Gears 3 is better, but Gears 2 definitely holds up. Gears 2 is still an extra one. And actually, if you want to save some money, get Gears 2 now. And just for $5-10 and just play that.
Oh, I wouldn't even have time to start Gears 2 right now. There's too many other games coming out.
Like I finished it. I think it's going to be 5 hours maybe to finish the game, if that.
Now the story is about 5, somewhere between 5 and 10, depending on how good you are at the game.
Yeah.
And then once you crack into like horde mode and some of the multiplayer stuff, man, you're done. Your night is finished.
Yeah, never mind arcade mode. I love arcade mode. We were playing that last night, just racking up points and
If Gears 3 was the only game coming out for the next couple of months, I probably would have bought it. But I swear to God, there's too many other games that are also out now.
And then Deus Ex, those are supposed to be really good too. And the new Kirby game's supposed to be awesome. And it's approaching the holiday season. Ugh.
It's not like me to not buy a Kirby game on release date, and it's tempting me, but I'm trying to force myself to hold back because it's supposedly a really awesome game. But like White Knight Chronicles, I want to continue playing that.
It's short too. I haven't read a lot about it, but I'm assuming that the new Kirby game is probably 100% in like 10 hours, for sure.
I think less than that. I was watching the Giant Bomb video on it, their quick look, and they said that it's a pretty short game. It's probably only going to take a couple of hours to finish, which is not a problem for me. I'd prefer, a game to be a couple of hours and be an amazing couple of hours than to be drawn out for 10 plus hours,
Definitely.
But no, like I totally would buy Gears, but there's too much stuff coming. I mean, for crying out loud, we got Dark Souls coming out in a couple of days. That's going to probably keep me busy until Battlefield 3 comes out on the 25th. And then right after that, we've got Call of Duty. And, I haven't been into theaters.
Batman. The new Batman's coming out too, which is going to be amazing.
Yeah, the Batman, that's October 11th, I believe. Or was it 11th or 18th? I don't know.
I want to say it's like a week or two away. It's really, really close.
Yeah, and I don't know. And of course, the whole other little games coming out on the 3DS, like Nano Assault and stuff. Like I'm into a lot of the lesser known games too. So I've got quite the list.
I got a big question for you though. What game did you buy today?
I don't know what game you're talking about.
Yeah, give me a break.
So besides White Knight Chronicles 2, today was a historical day. Jason, do you know why that is?
Today is a historical day in Pete Dorr's world.
Yes. He's busy playing the Battlefield 3 beta right now.
Yeah. So I'm like, my walls are up. I don't know what's going on out there right now.
What the hell?
I really don't know, Pete. What's up?
When Jason's internet is lagging, he's up to something sneaky over there. You hear his voice breaking.
Playing Hydro Thunder the whole time.
So today, the Eco Shadow of the Colossus collection released in the US for the PlayStation 3. Nice. Derek, have you ever played either of those yet?
Yes.
So, someone's car's driving off in the background. That's Jason. He's going to buy it right now. Jason's like, fuck.
It's Jason picking that shit up.
I'm going to pick that shit up. I'd be in line for that.
So Eco just so happens to be my favorite game of all time. I'm wearing my Eco shirt today to commemorate it. So it was a big deal. Shadow of the Colossus definitely in my top 10 games of all time as well. So it was a pretty big deal for this game coming out for me today. And that's basically all I was playing today for the most part. I started with Eco, and first of all, I'm not let down. These games look better than I could have imagined. I'm playing obviously in 1080p on an HD TV. I do not have a 3D HD TV, so I can't play them in 3D, but I've heard that these games are incredible in 3D. Like the 3D doesn't feel tacked on. It seems right for the game from what I've heard. But the graphics are just incredible, and it's even more incredible because for those that don't know, the US edition of Eco originally was kind of rushed out due to deadlines that they had to reach. So when it came out in the PAL region, the game was updated the textures and stuff for certain like ground textures and everything, and things in the game were updated to look even better than the US version. So since the PS3 remake is based off of the European version, it actually looks a ton better. So people that played the original on PS2 in Europe, they're going to think, okay, this looks really good. But people that played the original in the US are going to be like, holy shit, this looks amazing. Like the castle itself is updated, the architecture. I noticed right away that the ground in this game looked incredible. They added a lot more vibrant greens and grass to a lot of areas in the game, just the updated textures. Also, what's interesting is that the European version is basically the definitive version prior to the PS3 version, because it also had added features such as a New Game Plus that allows a 2-player cooperative mode where one person controls Eco, one person controls Yorda, as well as you unlock slight spoilers here, but there's a way to get a lightsaber in the game on your second playthrough. And the biggest part of all that I've actually, many years ago, I spoiled it for myself and watched a YouTube video, but in your second playthrough, Yorda, the white girl that you carry around the whole game, in the US version, it never had this, but a lot of the speech in the first game, in the US version, when Yorda and the Queen spoke, were in a language that you could never understand, and the subtitles were never translated in the game. It's not even Japanese, it's just a made-up language. So in the US, people had no idea like what the hell these characters were saying, but then in the Europe version, second playthrough, they translate it for you, so you can see what they're saying. So needless to say, this game, I'm looking forward to going through it a second time.
I always liked the allure of Ico, and I've always said it Ico, but that you couldn't understand what was going on. I think it kind of drew you in more, and kind of made your actions kind of ambiguous. And I honestly don't know if I would enjoy it. I haven't played it in a while, but I recall liking that so much. I don't know if I would still enjoy it, knowing the story. What do you think?
Well, that's the thing. I haven't experienced it yet myself. Having them translate the subtitles.
Well, next time for the update.
Yeah, I don't think it'll. Well, I could tell you one thing. I'm not going to rush through the game again anytime soon, because I'm going to give it probably a good year before I go through it again a second time. Maybe a few months. I'll see how long I can last. Because that's what I usually did with Eco. I played it once every 2 years or so. I don't think it'll ruin the experience, but I do agree with you. The little story that was in the game, going through it, so little was revealed even when they talked. But it's still going to be very interesting to kind of see what Yorda and, I guess slight spoilers, her mother have to say in the slight times where you don't know what they're saying. But Johnny?
I was just going to say, are you buying the Japanese version?
I will be, yes. Because it comes with an art book. It's kind of book. Supposedly, like the first 60 pages are concept art and whatnot. And I've seen the inside, and it's amazing. Plus, the slipcase cover for it is really awesome as well. So I'm going to eventually get it. I don't know how soon because it's a little expensive. So maybe sometime next year, end of this year. I don't really know. I was going to import it originally. If it was coming out in Japan, like a month ahead of time, I would have imported it, but since they were only a few days apart, by the time I imported the Japanese version, the US one would be out. But in Eco right now, for those, I'm not going to spoil anything here, but if you know the game, you'll know exactly where I'm up to. I'm actually right at the point where they altered one of the puzzles. So that's another thing the European version had. They slightly altered some of the puzzles in the game to make them a little bit different than in the US version. And I actually got up to one of the puzzles and I was a little bit stuck because, well, this puzzle wasn't in the US version, and it's the door mechanism puzzle. Right before you get to the area where you can unlock the secret weapons. The first playthrough being the mace, second playthrough being the lightsaber. So I'm right up to that point right now, which is fairly close to the end of the game. I probably got maybe another hour and a half, 2 hours to go. And then just because I wanted to experience it and be able to talk about it for the podcast, I also played some Shadow. I planned on beating Eco all the way through first before I went to it, but I played Shadow of the Colossus as well. And I just beat the second Colossus. And wow, graphically, they leave in, like, there's still pop-up in the game, and some of the objects that I've seen during the cutscenes looked a little bit strange. But I guess that's because they left the source code the same. I remember reading they didn't want to alter the game in any way except just bump up the resolution. So some of the stuff is still in there that you'd be like, wow, why'd they leave this in here when they could have improved it? But the graphics are amazing because there were some frame rate issues with the PS2 version. Like it seemed very slow and chuggy at times.
Oh, definitely Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, well, without a doubt, Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, Shadow of the Colossus holds up on PS2 because they chose a very stylized graphic aesthetic for it. Yes. But man, that game it runs really slow at times, and I know it kind of makes it more grand and more epic, but also sometimes it does run really slow.
The PS3 version, from what I've played so far, has completely cured that. There's still that weird screen blur effect when you move the camera around, but for the most part, it looks amazing. Like the texture and detail on the Colossi are just amazing. And this game, you know, a game is amazing when no matter how many times I start it up, I still get like goosebumps and chills during the opening cutscene. It's so fucking epic. And let me just say this to everybody out there. Yes, Ico is my favorite game of all time, but between the two games in this collection, I would recommend if you've never played either of these, you have to get it for Shadow of the Colossus. Like it holds up a lot better. I can realize I know there are faults with Ico. Like some people absolutely hate the camera in that game, and some of the gameplay, it's a little, I guess you could say outdated, but I still love it. I still understand the game.
It was a pretty weird game for the time and a really daring one. It was and still is unlike almost anything else out there.
Oh yeah, I would totally agree with that. I mean, when I picked up the demo for that on PS2, I played through that demo like 30 times to the point where when the game came out in retail, I was able to pinpoint every little difference, like changes in character design that they did with the shadow creatures. They actually changed the puzzle at the windmill section. Like they changed a lot of stuff. I played the hell out of that game, and I don't know what it was about Ico, but like you said, there was nothing like it at the time. And you know, I was thinking about that too today because I like to think of Ico as an environmental puzzle game where the puzzles are not so much, yes, there are flip switching and there's block pushing, but a lot of the puzzles have to do with observing the environment and looking for the ledges that you got to grab onto. And at the time, there really weren't many games like this, like the Prince of Persia's that we have today and the Assassin's Creeds and the God of Wars, where there's a lot of platforming and jumping onto ledges and whatnot. But back then with Ico, I was so blown away, like, wow, they really like, the puzzle was having to climb onto this little ledge here that wasn't so obviously like highlighted with like a shining gloss to it. Like I couldn't believe how minute some of the puzzles were until you just looked at the environments. And now we're just littered with games like that today. So people that go into this now, they might question what makes it such a great game. But, you know, 10 years ago, there really weren't many games like Ico out there. But Shadow of the Colossus, my God, people, if you have not played this game, please do yourself a favor. Don't be like, oh, I got to play the original version to experience it. No, fuck that. Get the PS3 version. It's incredible.
Yeah, I definitely want to pick that up.
Oh my God.
How much was that?
$40 for both games.
Oh, that's a deal. You kidding me?
And on the same disc, I haven't even checked that out yet.
That's a good
Here's
deal.
the coolest part. They have bonus features like making of the game, like the developers talking about it.
Oh, really?
All kinds of like, yeah, some of the coolest footage. I've seen it on YouTube before, but they'll show you like prototype footage of when Ico is supposed to be on the PlayStation 1. Like they give you some pretty decent bonus stuff in there as dynamic themes for the PS3. Of course, I got my Ico theme right now. But it's so worth it. And please, if any of you out there, if you've never played either of these games and you pick it up and you play them, send me a message. Let me know what you think of them. I'm really curious. Let me know what you don't like about them as well. I'm really curious to see what people, you know, if you've never played them before and you pick them up today, what don't you like about these games as well?
Yeah, they're very challenging games in that they're different. Not that they're a hard game, but conceptually it's different than what most people are used to playing. So it's very challenging in that regard. It really is to understand what the boundaries and the depths of what you can do in a game. There are a lot of games you need to play just because they're so different. But Ico and Shadow of the Colossus are also different and challenging, but also genuinely good. You should play them for that reason as well.
Yeah. I mean, and there are some people out there that just, they can't stand these games. They can't get into them. And I totally understand that, especially with, you know, Shadow of the Colossus, because it is so different and unique where you're just fighting bosses that are basically like giant puzzles. And the controls they take some getting used to, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But just give them some time. Don't go into them right away and give up on them right away. Give them give Ico a good 2 hours and give Shadow of the Colossus
it's going to be sad because you know what? There's so many games coming out this Christmas that this kind of like old gem is going to get forgotten. You know what I mean? It's going to get pushed between the seats, you know, between Gears of War and Skyrim and Zelda and God,
that's the sad thing. The people that are going to buy this game are going to be the people that knew they were going to buy it the second it got announced. Like, I don't really think there's going to be many people out there that see this in the stores and go, oh, let me buy this. There's no way. The people that are buying this are the ones that knew about it all this year.
But there's a whole generation of people you're telling right now who've never bought it. Maybe
I know, and I'm encouraging them to go and try it out. That's the thing. I'm trying to get the word out there so that it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. So hopefully I'm just excited because, especially for Eco, a lot of people have played Shadow of the Colossus, but Eco has gone by quite unnoticed all these years, and not a lot of people have played that game at all. So, and I'm kind of scared because it seems like I put such high praise on it, but I actually tend to try not to talk about it too much. I haven't even reviewed the damn game so far. The only time I've mentioned it in like my videos is in my top PS2 games of all time.
Didn't Ico get a greatest hits re-release though?
No, Shadow of the Colossus did. In Japan, Ico got greatest hits re-release, but not in America. Probably due to the terrible box art that no one wanted to pick it up. Which I was so excited because when I saw the game, I think originally the concept art for this collection on the PSP, like the concept art for the collection box, had the US artwork on it. I could be wrong, but when I got it in the mail today and saw that they used the Japanese and PAL box art on there, I was excited.
I've decided I'm going to call it ACO. Can I call it ACO now? Since we got Eco, we got ACO.
Ico.
Man, you're so wacko.
Ico.
For people that are wondering, like, people do call it all different ways, but the 100% correct way to say it is Eco.
Is Eco, but I've always just said Ico. And the thing is, I've studied Japanese. I don't have a good excuse for mispronouncing it. But
well, it's like Mario. People that say Mario, they don't change their ways.
Yeah, potato. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, Ikaruga, even though it is like Ikaruga, but I still say, Ikaruga. So people say Ikaruga.
I always say Ikaruga.
Ikaruga.
How do you really pronounce it then?
Ikaruga, but you kind of have to put like an emphasis on the R.
You have to say it fully Japanese.
I guess like you pronounce like an I, like an E. In most languages of the world, except like English or American or whatever this English language is, we pronounce our I's differently, but most of the world pronounces their I's as E's, so the equal and Ikaruga.
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 I like it. That's good. Anything else, Pete?
Well, honestly, I'll get to it in a second, but I've been doing something else besides playing games in my free time. The only other thing I've been playing quite a bit as well is the Pokemon trading card game online, which is still fun as hell. I'm trying to get my money's worth out of it since I did spend a lot of money on virtual booster packs and cards.
How much money have you spent on it? Honestly, how much money?
Just over $100.
Nerd. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I thought he was going to say $200. That'd be Pete.
No, not to that level quite yet. I mean, the thing is though, like it's fun. I've always wanted to play trading card games, as evidenced with the Eye of Judgment game on PS3. Like I got heavily into that and spent a few $100s on cards. I just don't have friends that play trading card games. So it's like, in order for me to play them, I have to play them in forums like this. But this is probably, people are like, oh, why would I want to pay money to play cards? I don't care. I'm getting my money's worth out of it. It's simple. It's fun. I get my ass kicked by those expert players out there, but when I kill somebody else, it's very satisfying. And I'd encourage, it's free to play for the most part. If you want to get new cards, you either have to buy online codes on eBay like I do, or you have to buy the actual card packs in the stores to get your pack booster things, whatever. But besides that, what I have been doing
that's cool.
is watching the Star Wars Blu-ray movies. So I watched Empire Strikes Back and I watched Return of the Jedi. And I was like, going in the Empire, I know everybody that's hailed as the best Star Wars film out of all of them. I've always been a fan the most of A New Hope because, that's the first one I saw in theaters. Obviously, when I discovered how awesome Star Wars was back in 1997 in the re-release, I went into Empire, and still, as amazing as that movie is, I have to say I still like A New Hope the most. It's just an attachment I have to it. Character, the stuff that happens in Empire kind of blows away everything that happens in A New Hope in terms of action and just stuff that goes on.
The original Star Wars is a classic.
Yeah,
nobody's saying that. It's not. You know what I mean?
And you even admitted that even though Shadow of the Colossus is the better game. You like Ico, and there's a distinction between what is actually the best and what your favorite is.
Totally.
Yeah.
Did you watch Star Killers?
Yeah.
No, I haven't even had a chance to go through the bonus features yet.
I prefer Return of the Jedi.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
For Attack of the Clones.
Dan, this is really delayed. It's really annoying.
Yeah, that's you.
John, go ahead. Tell us why. Why do you prefer Return of the Jedi?
You just talk, and then we'll let it pause, and then talk.
I don't know. I like the Jabba the Hutt. I like the Jabba the Hutt scene a lot. Princess Leia and Slave Leia. I mean, how could you not love that? I like the speeder bike scene and just the story itself at the very end. The clash between Darth Vader, the Emperor, Palpatine, Luke Skywalker, the whole drama between that and how it unfolds. I think that it's just a classic.
John,
the special effects for 1983 were just amazing.
When Luke is a Jedi and he's kicking ass, that's fun to finally see.
Yeah.
John, your opinions on the at the end. Go ahead.
I haven't seen the Blu-ray version of Return of the Jedi yet. I just watched episode 1 and 2. So I'm kind of working my way through the series. But honestly, it's a one word. It's not that big of a deal. I understand the purists who are really sensitive to that. But the same note, it's George Lucas's movies. He can do what he wants to with them. Just like it would be like our YouTube channels. We can do what we want with them. So who's to say we can't? It's still a classic movie. It's not going to take away from the experience.
It's true, but I have to say I'm not a Star Wars purist. But I think out of all the changes that they did, that would in the Blu-ray editions, that is probably the worst. I was so like wondering what other hardcore Star Wars fans thought of the changes. So I listened to like a couple of Star Wars podcasts just to hear what they thought. And one of them brought up a really good point. Like at that part in the film when Vader is deciding, should I choose my son or the Emperor? You don't really know what he's going to choose, but by him, he says 2 no's, by the way. First he goes no, and then he does the whole dramatic no. So by them doing that, I guess in a way for first time watchers of this trilogy, it ruins it a little bit because it tells you, it kind of forecasts by a few seconds what he's going to choose to do. But for the Star Wars fanatics out there that have seen these movies a million times, it probably won't bother most of them too much. But in a way, I think it kind of ruins the scene.
Right? It was something was going on in his mind.
Because the character was conveyed so well just through even though he's wearing a mask, like so well just through the motion of his head and his helmet. Like, I don't know. I thought it kind of ruined the scene.
Absolutely. Well, did they add the scene in Empire Strikes Back, Pete, where they Han and Leia like make out? Didn't they extend that scene in the Millennium Falcon?
No, I thought that was just part of the extra footage that they never put into the movie. I think I saw a longer version of that. Wasn't that when they were on Hoth? John?
I didn't see an extended love.
Well, there's a scene where she gives Han a hand job on the Millennium Falcon.
That's what I want to see.
They're supposed to put that in CG.
That's what I'm trying to see. I want to see a train on that.
They don't call her Princess Leia for nothing. Right?
Yeah.
That'd be a great Star Wars cut. Just cut in all sorts of Star Wars porn in between places to try and make it like canon.
Hell yeah.
But I just said, John.
They call him Han Solo for a reason, right?
Oh, fuck.
John, there's going to be a huge surprise for you in A New Hope. Now, have you read up on the changes that they did to the movie?
Not really. I mean, I don't know, but I haven't.
All right, so you know the scene where you see Obi-Wan for the first time with R2-D2 and whatnot with the Sand people. Okay, I'm gonna play a clip for you. The first one you're gonna hear is the original version. Now I could be wrong. I think there were 2 versions of this, but this is like the version from 1997 at least. And then you're gonna hear the Blu-ray version. Now prepare yourselves. All right, here we go. I'm playing this from my iPad, so it might sound a little weird. Yeah,
okay, that's fine.
Well, it's in one video, so I'll play it. Hold on. Let me get the speaker here.
Okay, go for it.
All right, hold on here. All right, so that was the call that Obi-Wan did to scare them away. Now here's the Blu-ray one.
Fuck off.
The fuck is that?
That sounds like
the fuck? Is it like
whale.
possessed?
It is the fucking whale. So that's where he's been fucking.
Jesus Christ!
He's in movies now.
I told you, he's just moving us onward.
I heard that and I'm like, what the hell was that?
Like, what sounds like? What is it really adding to the picture?
That's stupid. Like, why'd you add that?
Sad thing is just, man, George, they're old movies. Let them go. Like, he hasn't made any other movies since Star Wars. Yeah. And I'm sure he wants to do other films, and he should. I would never go back and re-edit and redo my older videos. Like, nah, they're done. And
it was like from 20 years ago, you know what I mean?
Yeah. He did Howard the Duck, right?
Yeah, he's not remaking Howard the Duck, is he?
Howard the Duck.
Yeah, but he's also not trying.
No, you know what the worst change is? Even almost worse than the no. Jar Jar Binks is in Return of the Jedi.
At the end, right? Isn't it?
Yes.
He's partying at the end?
At the end? Well, yeah, he did that in the special edition.
Oh, did they? I don't even remember that. Jesus. Because I try and watch the originals when I can. Well, at the end of the movie, they show... no. Wait, was that really in... Where they showed like all the different cities, and then one of them is the Gungan.
Yeah, that's Jar Jar. Yeah.
But no, he says, we are free now at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
He said that too?
Yeah, he added, I think they added that in a couple years ago. Well, and he also, the same year, he added Anakin, Spirit of Anakin, the old younger version, and they swapped that out.
Which doesn't actually make any sense.
And they removed the fucking Ewok song. That bit pisses me off the most, too.
Oh, by the way, Ewoks blink now very creepily, and they have pupils. But you see, now I'm so drawn to their eyes. Now that they made that change, all I do is stare at their eyes. And then it's even more creepy when the ones that don't blink. I don't know, some of these changes are just so freaking pointless.
We always talk about this. We just can't let it go. And John made a good point, and I said in the last podcast as well, what John said tonight is that it's his movies. I didn't make these movies. I grew up with them. I have a certain opinion on them. But, you know, all this is a fucking opinion. Like, they're his fucking movies. He can change them. Is what he's doing right? That's debatable. I personally don't feel that it is, but they're not my movies to say that about. You know, I'm so sick and tired of bashing George Lucas. I've been bashing him for years. But he gave us Star Wars. He gave us one of the greatest movies that I grew up with. So, it's hard. Really
I just don't understand his obsession with going back and changing those old movies. I think that speaks really poorly of his character. And yeah, he made these movies, but we're the ones buying them. And I can't help but think, just leave them as they were. I mean, it's the only classic film, and it's true, in 100 years, film historians will still be talking about Star Wars. I mean, it's one of those movies that is so, it's one of the best of the best of the best. But it has this really weird history that he keeps on changing it. And it is not necessary to do that.
Okay, here's what I'm guessing. Have you guys see this? Honestly, just hold on 2 seconds. Is that I think when he releases the 3D versions and they come to home video, he'll release the originals on Blu-ray.
Oh, of course.
I'll believe that when I see it.
Well, they released the originals on DVD.
Yeah, but they're shit. They're not remastered.
I know they are.
Yeah.
And they were only very quickly and quietly released. It was a very short run.
Oh yeah.
I snagged them.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, though, I want to say,
have you guys listened to the radio drama?
No.
Pete, have you listened to the radio drama at all? The Star Wars radio drama?
No. What is it? A bonus on the discs or something? Or is it just online?
No. It's actual. You can buy it on CDs. It was a radio drama for all 3 movies. Actually, have Mark Hamill's in it. They've got a lot of the voice actors for the movies, and it's extended. Like the first New Hope movie on radio drama is like 5-6 hours long, and it goes through the whole story, how George Lucas wanted it. There's mixed scenes, hidden scenes that never were released in the movies, and it's all sound effects and everything. It's fantastic, man.
That's cool.
Check it out.
I gotta check that out.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I have the ones for Lord of the Rings like that, and those are a little
Star Wars radio drama.
Writing it down.
You got Anthony Daniels, Mark Hamill. You've got. Who played Lando Calrissian? What's his name? He's in it. You know who plays Yoda? You know who voices Yoda is John Lathauer. What's his name? The guy from Footloose.
Who?
The actor from Footloose, the dad in Footloose.
Oh.
Yeah, he.
Oh, they couldn't get Frank Oz for the radio drama?
What else is Frank Oz doing these days?
Yeah, they can get Frank Oz for the radio drama.
Frank Oz, he's doing Miss Piggy. He's doing the new Muppets movie.
Yeah,
I bet he was really upset when they replaced his puppet Yoda in episode 1.
Nah, he still gets the check in the mail.
He does. But I remember, if you've seen in the making of episode 1,
yeah,
Frank Oz is saying to George Lucas, he's like, "Come on, George, you don't need me here." He's like, "You can just do all this in the computer. You don't need." He's like, "No, we'll always need you, Frank." Yeah, right. I always thought it was funny in looking back in that documentary. That documentary of episode 1 is great stuff. It's really a lot of fun.
All right, now have you guys seen the giant reviews, the Red Letter Media, like 90-minute reviews?
Oh, of course.
Prequels.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, I love that.
Fantastic.
I was actually, when I would watch those, there was certain moments when I fell off my chair and I was punched in the ground. I was laughing so hard.
They have such a fucked up sense of humor. I love it.
Part number 2.
Yeah.
I know. Everything he does in those are fantastic. It's so good.
All the jokes about his ex-wife, and then like cut to a bloodied bathtub and like a sauna woman screaming just for like 2.5 seconds, and not only like super dark like jokes, but it's after, if you watch all 3 of those reviews, after a while it almost comes off as mean-spirited, because they so perfectly articulate how fundamentally flawed those films are as movies. Not just like, bad movies, but like why the plots are bad, why these characters are wooden and boring, why the story actually makes absolutely no sense. Yeah. And he makes a point about everything is shot on a green screen, so the actors are just walking calmly. There's no action, there's no fluidity. It's all boring. Everything's shot a simple 2-shot. They're sitting down, they're on a couch, they're up walking around away from the couch. Oh man!
The whole movie contradicts itself at every single point. Contradicts the old movies. I mean,
it's his. The 3 films he made in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, after a while, it's like, man, you guys are just beating up like a retarded kid or something. It was like, leave him alone. You guys are being too mean.
But it was done so well that I've never watched reviews like that where I was glued. And I've gone back and watched it multiple times.
I've seen their reviews more than I've seen the actual films. And that's definitely a testament to how well they're put together.
And I know George Lucas has seen it because he had the first one pulled off YouTube. And there was such a backlash that they put it back up.
Oh, really? Well, that could have just been Lucasfilm or Lucas Arts or whoever.
It was actually, sorry, I don't know all the details about this. Anybody wants to look it up online, it actually happened, but it was some parent company, you know what I mean, took it down. So I thought it was like MTV or some weird thing like that. And then all of a sudden there's a huge backlash, like hundreds.
That was when like Viacom, it's totally like it chilled out. But there was a time, and Johnny can back me up on this, when you could not put anything remotely copywritten on YouTube. It would just be pulled. Like it was pull the video, ask questions later, because they were getting so much shit from Viacom for people putting up episodes of like Family Guy or something like that. And then you couldn't put anything copyrighted.
Yeah.
Up on YouTube. And I think that was probably like a jerk reaction, like, oh, this has footage from Star Wars, gotta pull it immediately. We'll figure out the details later.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that review, there's 7 parts. The first part has 3,400,000 views, and all the other parts have at least 1 million views.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's so good. So if anybody wants to see a really good review of Star Wars episodes 1, 2, and 3, the best review in history you'll ever see, go on YouTube and type it in Red Letter Media.
Or just type in Phantom Menace review.
Phantom Menace.
There's a version.
Other reviews.
There's a version of the.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, guys. This fucking delay really sucks. Okay. But there was a version of The New Hope that was that the guy edited too and made it kind of have you guys seen that version? I forget what it's called, but he re-edited New Hope. He added new music kind of in certain scenes and enhanced the color and CG a little bit. Do you guys see that version?
Oh, no.
Yeah, you recommended it. What was it called again? Do you remember, John?
Just like the re-edited
version. I fucking
version?
forget what the name of it was called.
Fuck. I remember
it's really done.
About a year ago.
Really fantastic. The color's perfect. Yeah, it's really well done. I forget the name of it though.
The Red Letter Media guys have done a lot of really good reviews, and they did one. I think it was like a 90-minute review of the new Star Trek, and it was a different kind of review because it was them saying the new Star Trek movie is really good, and here's why Star Trek fans should just accept this film for being good. And they did 90 minutes or something on why it's a summer blockbuster film. They have to adhere to, they have to make it supercharged and high energy and a big action film. And also why, like, Star Trek, the last few movies really sucked. And so they're not just out to bash movies. This one is actually kind of being critical to the Trek fan base. And so also check out I really, really enjoyed the Star Trek movie that came out, the J.J. Abrams one from 2009, or was it 2010?
Yeah, it was well done.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was an excellent movie. And so did they, but they're huge Star Trek fans too. So they got all this knowledge about the TNG series, the original series, and all the movies that came out. So definitely check out that review too.
Yeah, these guys are huge fans. You have to be big fans to be able to do that stuff and do it well. Like, for them to do the reviews in Star Wars, you have to know what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah, you look like a laughingstock, right?
Yeah, they're not just out to bash it. Because a lot of people think that being a good critic is just hating on shit. No, you got to be able to back up your arguments. And these guys do it, like, probably the best example of how to back up an argument for something you hate. They probably have the absolute best example.
Definitely. Shit. So, Pete, what else have you been playing?
That's about it. I've just been playing a lot of White Knight Chronicles, Pokemon trading card game, and of course trying to watch some of the Star Wars films. I'm actually still, you know what, I'm really looking forward, believe it or not, to watching the prequel trilogy because it's been a really long time, especially for a Phantom Menace. It's been a really long time since I've watched that movie. Attack of the Clones somewhat as well, and from what I've heard, the prequels look amazing on Blu-ray. So
they do, but they're still bad movies in my mind.
Yeah, well,
that's my opinion. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying, yeah.
Of course, I still prefer the prequels, but looking forward to it.
So, Jason, what have you been playing, man?
Well, I've been kicking it back with my favorite Burnout game. Anyone want to take a guess? What my favorite Burnout?
Speed Takedown or Burnout Paradise?
Burnout Revenge.
All right. Correct answer is Burnout 2. Point of Impact. I love that game. Although, I love the franchise. I think it's a great franchise, and all the games have their own unique play style, and I like them. But Burnout 2 was the game that really got me going into the whole, destruction. It was just the game that really did it over the top for me. So I've been playing that a bit on PS2. I just recently did a format and reinstall of Windows. That has been taking up a little bit of time. But other than that, I played some Extreme G3 on GameCube.
Thank God, Pete Jason. Door. Jesus Christ.
Well, shit, finally. There's a lot going on, But I played that, did a little live stream of that too. People were hanging out watching that. Definitely a great game. Now, I don't think I broke the sound barrier yet, Pete.
No, you haven't. Takes a little bit. You got to keep upgrading your engine. The weapons are not that important because honestly, it's so fucking hard to kill anything with the weapons anyway. So just keep upgrading your engine. If you ever have loose change, buy a weapon or two. But eventually, you'll break the sound barrier, and it's amazing.
I can't wait. I cannot wait for it. So I've been playing that on GameCube. Great game. Great recommendation there by Pete. Other than that, I've invested about, I'd say 5 more hours into Dead Island. I'm about 16 hours into it in total right now. And let's see, how far am I? I'm on Act 3 now. I'm not sure how many acts there are. Are there 3 or 4? I don't really know. But I'm on Act 3 and really, really enjoying it. Still loving that game. Fantastic. Looking forward to finishing that up. And then, getting a whole new group of people and going through it again. It's one of those types of games, where you can just sit down with a group of guys and just go through it and have fun. So I'm looking forward to that. Dead Island. And I played a little bit of Red Faction 2 on Steam. I just love Red Faction. I go way back to the original Red Faction back in the day on PS2. Great shooter. And so I was playing some Red Faction 2 on Steam. I think that's really about it. Oh, no, I did pick up Sega Genesis and Mega Drive Classics Collection.
That's a great collection. I love that one.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's great.
So many great games and great titles on there. And they were having a sale on Steam. It was like $7 for the whole pack of like 40, 42 games, whatever it is.
Wow.
Just worth every single penny.
Have you unlocked any of the arcade games?
No, not yet. I haven't really even played it all that much yet.
What about Battlefield?
I'm just stopped mentioning it. I've just stopped.
No. Because I wanted to know, is it downloadable right now? Like, you guys.
Whoa.
What was that? Was that the safe or something?
Might have been.
What was that?
It is available now. As of recording this, the beta was released today. The beta code for people who pre-ordered the game on Origin,
like Jason, who we're playing it this morning at 8 o'clock, right, Jason?
Yeah, exactly. No, not so much. Okay, long story short. So I pre-ordered the game on Origin, and that entitles me to the 72-hour pre-release of the beta. And I know they're supposed to send you an email, and then in the email has your activation code. You enter it in Origin, it downloads, you're good to go. Well, I didn't get any email, and my friends are like PMing me, Jason, come on, let's squad up, let's play. I got my beta code. Like, I haven't got it yet. They got theirs at 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 10 a.m., noon. I'm like, where the fuck is mine? So by about 3 o'clock, I'm like, okay, fuck this. The day's almost over here, and I haven't played it yet. So I get on live chat. I'm number like 2052 in queue. Says wow. I have to wait an average time of like 58 minutes. I'm like, cool, whatever. I'll sit here and wait in queue and I play some games. I get to number 32 in queue and it fucking drops me.
Oh,
I had been waiting over an hour.
Fuck.
I had been waiting over an hour.
Delayed reaction by John.
And I'm sitting there. I'm just like, what the hell? This is some bullshit. I pick up the phone and I'm right there on the contact EA thing. So I get on the phone. I get on the horn. I call them up. And they're like, average wait time is over 20 minutes. I'm like, yeah, I can imagine. I wait on the phone 1 hour and 16 minutes before they finally pick up. So they pick up, and by this time it's 15 minutes prior to us recording this podcast. I got Pete on Skype. I'm talking to Pete, and I hear my speakerphone on the table like, hello, EA support, hello, and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm like, hello, hey, you there, hello. Anyway, long story short, here guys, they looked into my account, they saw that I pre-ordered it, they gave me a beta code, and as soon as we get done with this podcast, I am going in on the beta Battlefield. Okay, that's what's happening.
Yeah. I got a question here. What about on the 360 and PS3? Can you just? This is what I heard at work. I don't know if this is true. That you can just download it and go online.
You will be able to on the 29th.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll be downloading it on 360 for anybody interested.
Unless you bought Medal of Honor last year, then you're entitled to it right now.
Also known as Nobody. No, just kidding. I heard that game. Okay.
I logged on Xbox today and like everyone was playing the beta, so I'm like, shit.
Damn, fuckers.
So, definitely. But so I'm looking forward to that, and I'll be doing that till the 10th, because it's good till the 10th, and then it's done, and then the game comes out on the...
Wait, hold on a second here. The beta is only going on until October 10th?
Correct.
Damn.
Yes,
right, well, I better download that and play it. They got to get their asses
in gear if they got to fix stuff.
I'll be playing it on PC and 360, so...
Yeah, I'm just going to download it and play it because I've never really played Battlefield. So, and Jason, you talked about it so much that I definitely have to see.
Do not go into it expecting Call of Duty. Just more.
What are you talking about? I'm expecting Call of Duty.
No, you can't.
Kidding.
You have to go into it expecting realism.
Yeah, well, let's go in there. Let's do that together. Like, let's squad up and play it together, because playing Battlefield by yourself is a completely different game than playing with people you know.
It is very true, though. Jason is
100%
right.
I know people that say I don't like Battlefield. It's because they go in, they play by themselves, and they get owned. You know what I mean? Like, you have to work together. You have to work as a team. That's the beauty of a Battlefield game. So, let's do that together and make it work. So
cool.
And on that note, Jason is hoping this is the shortest podcast ever.
Hopefully.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Hopefully.
Anything else, Jason?
That's it. Moving on. John, how about you? Cool.
Yeah, there
Johnny? Yep. Good. Awesome. See ya.
All right.
Okay, John. You just talk and we'll listen.
Yeah. Okay. Man, this delay is bullshit. I got to say, it's frustrating because I went cut in and it's too late. It's just
crazy that
I was kind of like with Pete. I was kind of like Pete. I watched Star Wars Blu-ray. I watched episode 1 and 2. I've seen a lot of the bonus features as well. But being in the Star Wars spirit, I had to play some Star Wars games. So I threw in the old Super Star Wars for the Super Nintendo, one of my favorite games for the system. And I went through that, beat it, start to finish. That's a really challenging game, and it really is hard.
I was just about to say that. Damn,
I love just it's a super fun game, and the mode was a mode 7 graphics that they use with the light speeder or whatever. It's just really well done. And then you get the Millennium Falcon scene. I mean, it's really great. So played that. Also played Star Wars Episode 1 on the PS1. Played it a while ago on the PC. But that's a really good game too. I know you guys are. I know Johnny's a big fan of Episode 1. That's his favorite movie.
Johnny. I mean, John. It's funny you mentioned that because I was actually a big fan of Episode 1 on PS1 as well. I thought it was a great action game. It follows
the story really well. The voice actors are good. It doesn't have the original. I don't think it has the original voice actors, but it's really well done, and it's fun. Also, threw in Star Wars Racer for the Dreamcast. I know we mentioned it. I think last podcast, and that's a really good port. A really good game. Threw in the old school Commodore 64, one of my favorite vintage systems, and I played a game called Firelord. Have you guys heard of this game?
No, I haven't.
No? It's an action adventure game, kind of very similar. If you guys are a big fan of like old school Zelda for the NES, or Johnny, Willow for the Nintendo Entertainment System as well. Yep. It plays very similar to that, and it's just really well done. The music's fantastic. It's called Firelord. So if you guys have a Commodore 64, check it out. Yeah, I played it on. I have a Commodore 64 plug and play that I have, so I played on that. But I think it also was on like a cassette format, is where it was available on a cassette, which is interesting. But really, really fun game. Also played one of my favorite games is California Games, and played that for the Commodore 64. You had surfing, half pipe. Really half pipe voice super fucking hard. Half pipe I could never get, but surfing is really hard too because you have to take off at a certain angle and land at the same angle that you take off. So if you take off at a 45-degree angle, you got to land at the 45-degree angle. Otherwise, you wipe out. It's bullshit.
That
never really understood
always
that.
Pissed me off back in the day. Always pissed me off. I could never figure it out. Never figure it out.
Never figure it out. And then when you're skating, you fucking crack skating.
I had a surfing stage I could never fucking figure out.
Yeah, the best, in my opinion, the best port of California Games, because it was on pretty much every system, was the Atari Lynx port. It only had 4 of the games, but it was a fantastic port, and the graphics are great for the Lynx. I think it was one of the packing games for Lynx. They got it with a packing game for the Atari Lynx. But good port on the Commodore 64, nevertheless. It's really well done. Played Batman Arkham Asylum. I'm trying to beat that before the new one comes out because I want to get the new one. So I haven't beaten it yet, but I'm going through it.
So good.
It's a great game. It's a great game. I'm here in New York this week for work, and I met up with Mamecade, John. Remember we had him on the podcast a while ago?
Oh, yeah.
Really good guy. And we met up, him and a guy named, another fellow YouTuber called Old School NYC Gamer. His name's Sid. And we hung out last night. John, he mentioned he has his pinball collection. He has 16 pinball machines. And he showed them off. Fantastic collection. He's got some great, really rarities. He's got one that's by Bally. I forget, that's a cowboy one. I forget the name of it. It's one of 400 ever made. Super rare. It was the last original Bally pinball machine they made right before they made the Pinball 2000 in 1999. Really limited edition. And he showed me that. It was really cool to play that. He's got just a great house. Really down-to-earth guy. His name's Mamecade John. I know we've had him on the podcast, but check him out. Really good guy. And then after that, I went to a barcade. It's called Barcade. It's over in Jersey City. And I went to a barcade before in Brooklyn, and this is the same company, but they have like 32 machines. They've got all the beer, like home brew on tap, all these like local brews on tap, right? And they had a Star Wars sit-down arcade again, which is amazing because I've only seen one other one in person, and I see another one. And I saw that recently, and this is the second one I've seen. But super cool game. I've been working on my Star Wars arcade to get that fixed, and it's no dice on that, man. I got to pay someone to fix it because there's adjustments. I'm trying to fix it, and I did all I can do. I'm getting an image on the corner, and it's so bullshit. I'm really frustrated. I really wanted to work on it myself, but that's pretty much it. So I've been busy doing that, and I'm going to pass the baton to Johnny.
I'll just do mine real quick before we pass it on to Derek. Is that playing Gears of War? I actually was playing with Meeting Flipper. You remember him, John? We talked about him last time.
Yeah, good guy.
Yeah, super guy. And oh god, who's the other person? Trouble 8385 and Kevin from the Mega Man Cave. We were actually doing 4-player Gears and really awesome stuff. But it was funny. We were playing the 4-player game, and we're all talking so much that at one point I'm like, "What the fuck is going on with this story?" Like, I haven't been paying attention. So the next night, the next couple nights later, I jumped on and I just did it singly. I just, as I say, beat it last night. And gotta say this much, and Derek, have you finished it, Derek, yet?
Gears 3?
Yeah.
No, I'm working my way through Gears 2. I've only just dabbled in Gears.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I won't say anything. All I'll say is that really good story. I'm not saying that the story wasn't great in Gears, but it was it's the middle story. Like, this is a good, I can't say anything. It's a good story. I'll move on. And some of the new modes are unbelievable. They're really cool, like Beast Mode, where you actually get to use monsters going as the player characters. That's pretty awesome stuff. That's really cool. And the arcade mode, where you can actually gain scores to see how well you're doing to other players and all that. So that's really cool.
Off Left 4 Dead ripoff.
Yeah, exactly. And Horde mode is stupendously cool as well. So now that I finished the main game, I wanted to do that, get it out of the way. I can get back to playing the game online with everybody. And what a great amount of fun. The game is smooth. Like, it is the best Gears of War game. Obviously, number 3, it should be the best game, but it actually is the best game. It's smooth. It plays really, really nice. I really like how it controls. Graphics obviously are even better. They were great in 1 and 2. They're even better here. So if you're on the fence about Gears, go for it. It's really good times. And the only other thing I'll mention, because I want to tell Pete, is that Kim finally finished Final Fantasy Dragon Quest 6.
I know. I saw the picture you posted on Facebook.
Yeah, I saw her picture, man. Yeah, you posted.
Yeah, I know. It was amazing. She's like, come here. I'm like, what? She's like, I did it. I'm like, holy shit, photograph, because I want to capture that moment. And so it's funny. She's in the other room right now. I think she's about 10 hours into Dragon Quest 8 now. So
how's she liking it so far?
You know what's funny is that Dragon Quest 8 is another magical game. Is that I'll say from my experience, when I played it and finished it, I loved it. And it's been a few years. So it's amazing to watch her first take on it, first seeing it, first playing it. And she's like fallen in love with it. She's like, this is just everything that a Dragon Quest game should be in 3D. And that's what I said back then. That's the best review you can say about the game. And anybody who's never played a Dragon Quest game in history, they maybe been on the fence about that one. Number 8 is a great place to start. I've said number 9 is, but fuck that. If you want to do a console version, do number 8. I love number 9.
What does she think of Yengus so far?
Do you know what? That's the thing. I'm so picky with voice actors. As soon as I hear, hello, Governor, I'm like, oh.
This is the Gov. Hey, Governor.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, no, I don't really like that. But she has not complained about it at all. And she's fallen in love with the game. And it's funny.
He was great. I thought he was hilarious.
Yeah, a lot of people like him. I didn't dislike him. I just was like, wait a second. Was there a way to turn the voice acting off? Because I think I did that.
I don't think so.
I think there is.
I thought the voice acting was good. I wouldn't have turned it off.
I think I went in there and see. I wonder if I did and just kept the subtitles on. I think that's what I did. I gotta go look again. It's been about 5 years.
It isn't all spoken. There's a lot of just text.
Yeah, I think it's spoken into. I'll go check afterwards. I'm not 100% sure. I could have sworn I turned it off. But one thing about the game is sitting down. I was just like drinking my tea and watching the game play again. But I'm not playing it this time. I'm on the outside looking in. It's like, God, this game is fucking awesome. It's so, I don't know. My enthusiasm on it is very strong. It really is an anime RPG come to real life. That's what I kind of imagined when I was a kid playing the original Dragon Warrior games. That's what I wanted it to look like. And it does. It looks like a Dragon Quest game should look. Actually, Kim is bringing me some tea here. What do you think of Dragon Quest 8?
Oh, I love it.
Okay, that's the best reaction I can get right now. Okay, what do you like? What do you like so much?
I love the style mostly. The style's awesome. Storyline so far is great.
Does the voice acting bug you?
No, I love the voice acting.
Okay.
I think it's more interactive with that.
Yeah.
You feel like you're more attached to the characters like that.
Yeah.
Then you just have to listen. You don't have to read.
Yeah.
I don't know. Music's great. I don't get sick of the music at all.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We're talking. Did you guys remember that? Is that in the original Japanese version, the music was different? They actually, I think it was just like kind of just regular type of music, and then they released a orchestrated music CD. And what they decided to do for the American version, this is all off the top of my memory. I got to go double check on this. Is that they brought the music on from the orchestra version for the US version.
Well, then they made the right choice.
Yeah, they made an excellent choice because the soundtrack to that is incredible.
Yeah, you never get bored of it. It's true. Thanks, Kim. That was Kim's review of Dragon Quest VIII.
That's all you need, folks. If you enjoy games, you gotta play that. I think Dragon Quest VIII is probably the best RPG on PS2.
Oh, definitely. I agree with you on that. No, see, this is my problem with Dragon Quest is I'm always talking about it these days. And I think the older I'm getting, the more I love the series more and more. But yeah, I don't want people to think, oh, it's a Dragon Ball Z RPG. There's some charm to Dragon Quest, and you either are going to experience it or you're not, and that's okay. Like if you just want to play Skyrim and you want a realistic RPG, definitely go that route. But if you're kind of curious, give Dragon Quest VIII give it a go. It's a wonderful, wonderful game. So yeah. So anyways,
make sure you have some time on your hands to play it as well.
Yeah, I said to Kim, I said, hopefully you got another. I think right now she needs another 80 hours and she'll finish the game.
Well, it also consumes you. It's not like you have to put time in.
Oh.
If you get past the 5-hour mark, you're done. Like it is sunken its fangs into your body, and it is going to suck your life away. It is such an addicting game, and it has a lot to do with you have to grind a lot in that game, but the aesthetic is so well realized that the graphics look bad by today's standard, but the aesthetic is so well realized that you don't mind. It's kind of like how Shadow of the Colossus and Ico don't look that good, but because it's got a good style to it, you don't really it isn't bothersome. And then the orchestrated music is just like flawless.
Oh, beautiful.
And it's just like icing on the cake. And so the grinding that you have to do isn't that bad, and the game has a very fun tongue-in-cheek story. It doesn't get melodramatic like Final Fantasy X, so it's always fun and lighthearted, and it moves very briskly. It's typically you go from one town to the other, and by the time you get to that extra town, you've pretty much leveled up to where you need to be. So there isn't a lot of running in a circle trying to grind until a little later in the game.
Later in the game, when you want to get all the kinds of stuff you want to get, and there's a lot you can do, like the monster training and all, fighting and all that in the end of the game. But what is your first experience, Derek, with Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior? Probably
Dragon Warrior 1. I got it for free with a subscription to Nintendo Power, and I actually beat the NES version when I was probably like 9 or 10 years old, and I don't know how the fuck I did that. That game is so boring now. It is so much grinding. And I did a review of the Game Boy Color port. It was Dragon Warriors 1 and 2 for the Game Boy, the Game Boy Color, and that version of Dragon Warrior I play probably once every 2 years. I've actually sometimes I'll go on a plane to get to MagFest, and now I'm in Alaska, and MagFest is in Virginia, which is the East Coast of the United States. It's very far away, and typically in that time I can beat Dragon Warrior 1 for the Game Boy because they cut so much of the fat, so much of the grinding out. So it's a fun, quick little RPG snack.
Mm-hmm. Wait, Derek, while we're on this subject, it's funny you bring up Dragon Warrior because I was watching a review of Sweet Home today, which, by the way, you totally sold me on that game. Like you had me on the game reproduction site, looking it up. I'm probably gonna pick that up along with a couple other games.
It was a pleasure to do that review because I think everybody who considers themselves a retro gamer owes it to themselves to play Sweet Home because it is mind-boggling how amazing that game is. It is almost annoying how amazing that game is.
Now, I have a question for you. I mean, well, I'll let you explain the game a little bit because it's a little bit complex and more so than most people would think from an NES game. But when the characters die in the game permanently, so it's possible to get a game over in this RPG, you're saying, and have to start all over again, I guess?
Yeah, but I mean, you can save anywhere at any time. So you can't save during battle, but naturally you wouldn't save after a battle when you've lost somebody. But yeah, the way the game is structured, it's this is why I did the review, because it's really easy to explain that way. There's a lot that goes into the game. It's also a bit of a puzzle game in that you're in a haunted mansion and there's all sorts of traps and puzzles and stuff. And each of your 5 characters has special items. Like one character has a lighter, so he can always light candles. Another one is a nurse. So if one of your characters gets poisoned or cursed, she can run up and heal them. So you're constantly managing those items. And there's other items you pick up, like planks of wood, because it's a decrepit old house. So there's, pits and chasms you have to cross over. So you put a plank of wood down, then you have to cross it that way. So you have to manage that kind of inventory like it was, an adventure game like King's Quest or Shadowgate. But it is also a standard random battles RPG. And the big draw to the game is you have these RPG elements. So you have to build your levels. You have to find new items around the mansion. But there's 5 people in your party, but you can only carry 3 in each party. So you're constantly going back and forth between a party of 3 and a party of 2. And because if a character dies, they're done, and their special item also gone. So if like your nurse dies, you have to somebody has to carry a first aid kit in their normal inventory. And that's one, piece of inventory that's now occupied, which was kind of similar to how the first Resident Evil was. When you played through with Chris, he could carry, I believe, only 6 items, whereas Jill could carry 8. Maybe that's 4 and 6, but it was also made by Capcom. That's why it's a bit of a precursor or the grandfather of survival horror games. So you're managing your party. You have a party of 3 and a party of 2. And so really it's like, which 2 do I want to travel alone? And should I have my strongest characters in a pair of 2, or maybe my weakest ones, the ones I need the least in 2? And it's constantly going back and forth, managing your party, managing your items. And it is if a character ever manages to get separated, when there are traps that separate people, if a character is running by themselves, it is super dangerous. They can get poisoned or cursed and be dead in no time. And now you have to try and complete the game with 2 parties of 2. And it is, and on top of all of that, if I'm being coherent, I'm sorry. On top of all that, there's a really, really interesting story that, because it is a horror game, really touches on some heavy shit. And some fucked up shit happens in that game. And for an NES game, it actually had me genuinely scared and worried sometimes. And, NES games usually have interesting stories, kind of cool stories, just maybe excuses to see it through the end. Sweet Home is the only NES game I can think of where I actually kept playing because I had to know how the story was going to resolve, or what the hell was going to happen next, or something happens. And it's like, what the fuck does that mean? When are they going to explain that? So I'm just rambling here, but
well, okay. Sorry, I gotta. This is a review that I haven't seen that I'll watch after the podcast.
You have to watch it, Johnny. This game, you're gonna want this game.
Okay. Well, here's my thing. I know Sweet Home. I've heard of it before, but I don't. Has that ever come out over here?
No,
It did not. No, and it could not have. Like once you play that game, and you'll fucking know why that game could not have. I mean. Did you answer that in the review? Kind of like so? No, because I didn't want to spoil the game. Because that game had such a good story, I would not spoil it. I really mean this. The story is one of the best parts of that game, and for an NES game, like that's a big deal. I can't think of any other Nintendo game that has like a story that I wouldn't want to spoil. Yeah. Maybe like Clash at Demon Head, but even that story was kind of oh, that's cute. That's a cute story. Like, though this actually has a story that stuck with me and affected me while I played the game. I actually had moments where I was like, "Oh, what?" Like, I have a joke where in the video I say there's going to be times where you look at your controller and go, "Whoa!" Like that wasn't just a bit. I actually did that playing the game. There's a moment where the story kind of officially starts because before you're given helpful hints, hey, use this item here, you should stay out of there, and then out of nowhere. This character bombshell is just dropped, and it's like, by the way, the story starts now, and this is the direction that this is going, and it is in the style of like a grim fairy tale, and it has a very interesting twist to the final boss fight. and the journey to get to that final confrontation it's a fuck of a journey, and you really get to know these people, and it's a very sweet, satisfying ending, and it's a very arresting story.
How long would you say this game takes to beat?
First time through, I'd say 10 hours, 10 hours and less. But that's also getting to understand how the game works. The game introduces puzzles slowly to you and item management slowly to you. When I played through a second time, I didn't beat it a second time through for my review, but I played through it again to get footage about halfway through the game because I didn't want to play all the way through because I didn't want to spoil that. So I played about halfway through the game, and I got the halfway point in like 3 hours. Once you understand what to do and where to go and how the game works, you can tear through it. But you have to allow yourself a couple hours to really get the game. But the game also doesn't get too hard, and the story doesn't really start taking off until about a quarter to a third of the way through the game. So it starts kind of slow, but it's not. It doesn't demand too much of you. It's a complex game that has to explain itself to you, and I think it does that very well. So I'd say about 10 hours. But if you know what you're doing, probably closer to 6.
That's not too bad, actually. That's not too long.
Just to recap for people, this is a RPG by Capcom that only came out in Japan. If you want to play this game, you would have to either download the fan-translated ROM of it or get like a reproduction cart online for this game.
And that's also a good point. The fan translation. There's a couple of... One of the problems with translating an NES game is you only have so many like symbols that you can use. And oftentimes in Japanese, you can have 4 or 5 kanji, and that's a whole sentence. That's not the same for English. So the translation is good for what it is. There's a couple words and some kind of grammatical stuff that, just put your expectations accordingly because the actual story is intact and it's an amazing story. But that translation is a bit wonky, but that's just the way it had to be.
Right. I'm interested. I definitely got to watch your review after this. That's
fucking it's
totally my thing too. I love Capcom. I love horror movies. I love like the NES. Like
this is right up your alley. Yeah. Have you ever heard of this game before, Johnny?
Around the corner. We got Halloween coming up soon, and I can't think of a better game to recommend you for Halloween except maybe like Zombies Ate My Neighbors or Splatterhouse. But Sweet Home is awesome, and everybody gets to play.
Sorry, Pete. I have heard of it. I did know about it, but it's not one of those things that I knew a lot about. I just kind of had seen and go, "Oh, okay, that came out in Japan." That was about it.
I mean, I've known of this game prior to your review, Derek, but like I was checking out your channel again today, and it jostled my memories. So you have, because I've seen a couple of other things on YouTube about it. Thankfully, I don't think I've watched any of the spoilers, and if I did, I forgot them. But your review is like definitive. It's basically everything you need to know about the game. So if anybody's interested, definitely.
Nice.
It's kind of a funny side story. I call out specifically. There's one point in Sweet Home that is totally like, whoa, could have never done that shit in America, on the NES. But it's also a bit of a spoiler, and so I actually called out that video. I said, I'm not just talking about that one video you may have seen on YouTube, which, by the way, don't watch that if you plan on seeing this this video. If you plan on watching this, playing this video game. And I made a comment on that video before I had made the review. And then when I called out that video on my review, people went back and saw my comment on that. It's weird to get... I'm having trouble formulating the correct response to it. But people respond to me talking about that video.
It's kind of like foreshadowing, right? In a way, yeah. He's
yeah, that's like the top rated and most responded to comment on that guy's video. It's kind of weird.
That's interesting. I can't wait to watch that. That's for sure. So we're at your point. What have you been playing? That's
oh, right. Well, yeah, a lot of Gears of War. My buddy Calvin's got Gears of War 3, so I was at his place playing like the Horde mode and the single player. And I am catching up on Gears of War 2. I've almost beaten the story, and I played a little bit of the Horde mode. I just got my kind of dipping my toe in Gears of War 2, and I'm gonna play for a little bit longer, and then I'm gonna go, all right, I'm ready for Gears 3. So I'm playing a lot of Gears of War, and also been kind of catching up on Xbox 360 games.
There's a lot of
Lost
catching
Odyssey.
up to do, and yeah, there's a lot to get. Like, Jesus, there's so many great games on the 360 and PS3. It's ridiculous.
Johnny and I can both highly recommend, if you haven't played it already, Lost Odyssey for sure.
Oh, if you like RPGs, it's one of the most underrated RPGs. It's, everything gets so foreshadowed now, outclassed in a way by Final Fantasy. Not that Final Fantasy is the be-all, end-all of RPGs, but Lost Odyssey came out, which I think is a vastly better game than the last bunch of Final Fantasies.
The best way to look at it is like, let's just say that after Final Fantasy 10, Final Fantasy 11, 12, and 13 never happened. Lost Odyssey is like the best way to look at the official, what Final Fantasy 11 should have been.
Well, just to me, Final Fantasy has been 4, 5, and 6 were the holy trilogy.
Exactly.
For me, Final Fantasy 6, I still think is the best Final Fantasy game. But I've only played 7 and 8. I skipped 9. I played a little bit of 10, and I never got very far in 10.
9.
Given up.
Oh my lord! I gotta voice up for the Final Fantasy 9 fans out there. Please.
Yeah.
Play 9.
I've told a lot of people that I think 4, 5, and 6 were the best ones. And then I mentioned, and I've skipped 9. And everyone's like, are you fucking crazy? That was the one made for you. So
it really was, because I was at work. Sorry, I was at work today, and I was so frustrated. I'm sitting there, and I'm like, my God, they've gone so futuristic and so steampunkish, whatever you want to call the new Final Fantasies. Get back to what is Final Fantasy. Remember that they have completely gone so far in a tangent away from what Final Fantasy was that even I'm having a hard time going, wait, Final Fantasy isn't supposed to have the winning fanfare music, which doesn't have that anymore. Wait, shouldn't Final Fantasy have a world map? Doesn't have that anymore. It's changed so much, and I just want it to go back to medieval. I want to see, black mages again.
There's time travel in 13 too, right, Johnny?
Okay, what does that mean?
Even more futuristic. So now they're traveling through time and shit.
Future, or do they go? Wait, if they go even further in the future, where it's more future?
I honestly haven't looked into it too much, because when I read that, I was a bit disappointed, because I've never been a fan of games that do time travel.
Well, I've heard numerous people say that Final Fantasy 13 doesn't start proper until like 25 hours in.
Yeah, that's not enough. I know. It's
And apparently, though, after that 25 hours, it gets like crazy good. It's super good and it's worth it. But I've got shit to do. I got other games to play. I don't think I'll ever have time to play Final Fantasy 13, because 24 hours, I can beat Final Fantasy 4 again.
Yeah.
In time.
Well, the thing is, the game should. I'm not gonna just like bash on Final Fantasy 13. I'm not a huge fan of it, but shouldn't that game be good? Maybe in the first few hours. Am I crazy? Am I completely bananas?
It's too heavily story driven. Like they try too much for the character development, which, by the way, I just want to say I love the characters and the story in that game, so I didn't have a problem with it. But if you can't get attached to the story or the characters, or at least the combat, that first 20 so hours are going to be very tedious, because it essentially is one long glorified linear tutorial almost. And like you said, once you reach that midway point, it really starts to open up, but a lot of people don't even get to that point in the game.
Yeah. And in 20 hours, you're already halfway through Final Fantasy 6. I really think Final Fantasy 7 is overrated in that it's a good game, but I think Square has been trying to remake Final Fantasy 7 for so long. And I'm here to say that FF7 wasn't that good. It really wasn't. And it was kind of the beginning of the end for Final Fantasy, because after that, it set this new precedent, this new benchmark for Final Fantasy games. And I felt that 7 was good. I actually kind of liked 8 too, but it kind of started this strange direction where Final Fantasy has been going since then.
I think 10 was the one that struck me as being the strangest one. I'm like, because then it became very linear, and I was like, damn, Final Fantasy is supposed to be about exploration. And then it just started to really change. 12 really kind of got a little bit strange as well. I like 12 though. I didn't mind it, But then 13 was just whack ass. I thought they should have been called, like, I don't know, like, what do you call it? Star Ocean, 7 or something. You know what I mean? Like, it was just so weird. It wasn't like, this is Final Fantasy? Weird.
It's kind of weird that Dragon Quest has never really evolved much, just been slowly refining that same style of gameplay. And I think for a while, that kind of made Dragon Quest a bit of a joke. Like, oh man, look at they're still making the same fucking game. Final Fantasy, they're breaking new ground constantly. And now Final Fantasy is like dying to find its identity or has lost any identity it has. Now a Final Fantasy game is just a good RPG with a lot of story, but Dragon Quest has always been the same, and it's kind of strange. It's become that it's like the new standard, and it's like this crazy radical idea. Oh, Dragon Quest just stayed the same the whole time, and it's still awesome.
I think they
Except
probably
for Dragon
have
Quest 10.
yeah, online in Dragon Quest 10, but no, I think they had a blue.
Hey, don't be negative yet. Let's see how.
Oh no,
we can't wait. We can't wait.
We're about that. we're super hyper. I think over there, Square Enix, they actually have a book that says this is Dragon Quest, and I think there's a lot. We all know all the things that are Dragon Quest, right? You know, you got to have the same sound effects. You got to have this. You know, there's a lot of going down wells. There's so many
slimes. You got to have dragons that have their head tilted to the side, and there has to be a green one, there has to be a blue one, there has to be a red dragon, you know.
Yeah, it has to have that kind of feel. Oh, here, you'll love this. Pete, this is definitely for you. Square Enix CEO, I'm going to pronounce his name completely incorrect, Yoichi Wada, mentioned that the Final Fantasy brand has been greatly damaged by Final Fantasy XIV. For all the problems and negative receptions after the game was released for Windows, the company is currently rebuilding the game and looking to revive the game. This is very recent. This is in the last few days. That was he's
looking to. It's a little late for that.
Well, they did say that then, but I just wanted to kind of just say that he had just said this recently. It's funny. And Derek, have you followed any of this about this whole Final Fantasy 14 thing?
I know that both Final Fantasies 11 and 14 were trying to be MMOs, and I guess Japan has just not been able to figure that out. I know when 11 came out,
yeah,
it was not bad, but in between 11 and 14, this little thing called World of Warcraft happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just that's one thing that the Japanese have never, online gaming as a whole, and you can look back at like the Wii and like Smash Brothers, online gaming is just not something that the Japanese developers have really gotten their hands on. And America and Europe really got online gaming. And so I think the MMO is something that I don't know that a Japanese developer has gotten yet.
Well, I think they got it right with some things, but not like smaller things like like was it Fantasy Star Online? They got that quite well. But I'm with you on the big MMO. I know
it did online pretty well. I've heard the Monster Hunter is a huge hit in Japan.
Yeah.
I love Final Fantasy 11. I'll just say that. I think that it's still doing really well. That game is still, many more players play that still than Final Fantasy 14. And I don't know, once in a while I get cravings to go back to it, but I think, I know I've said this a million times before, but I think I'm done for now until the next level cap. Probably sometime next year. There's always a point in the year where I go back to it. So
here's my question. I got to go into this about 14 here. They released the game. It was a failure, right? So we know that. And the company's apologized, and I just read to you. But here's the question. It says here, the company is currently rebuilding the game and looking to revive the game. I've never heard of this in the history of video games. You put out a game, it's a bomb, so you rebuild the game and put it out again?
Well, they're doing it. They replaced their development team months back. Remember that?
I know, but I just think, is everybody going to go, oh, wow, wait, it's back, and they rebuilt it, thank God for that? I think people are done and moving on already.
How are they making money off of this game? The collector's edition is fucking $20 now, and they don't charge a monthly fee.
Crazy.
Still don't charge a monthly fee.
Crazy stuff. Oh, I don't know.
They've saved their money, and even Final Fantasy 13. I think the general consensus is it wasn't a failure, but it was definitely a bit of a hiccup, and the Final Fantasy name needs to be saved. But it's still sold well enough. They still have an audience. So they have a couple of games. They have a couple more fuck-ups before they've struck out. So they can rebuild, or they can start running on that platform. Oh, we're rebuilding the franchise. Final Fantasy's being rebooted. We're coming back, which is just a marketing gimmick. It is bullshit, but their audience they haven't damaged their brand enough. They can still come back, but they need to do something quick because the Final Fantasy name used to be Final Fantasy used to be one of the best and most reliable series in gaming, and now it's a bit of a joke.
It's so weird. It's such a funny thing that you say that. What a company Squaresoft used to be, when it used to be them. Squaresoft could do no wrong. Every game they brought out was like, oh my god, Chrono Cross. Oh my god, Einhander. It was every game was awesome. And then over the years, they've just
Parasite Eve. Oh my god, this is what the hell.
I love Parasite Eve too. Yeah, I know. I don't know what. In the last couple of years, I really don't know where they're. It's like they don't know the brands that they have, and sometimes they don't know how to. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I can't wrap my head.
Kind of like Capcom.
What was that?
It's kind of like Capcom. I mean, they've kind of lost sight of what the fans want.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
did you hear the latest developments in Mega Man Legends 3?
No, what?
Where
it's canceled, right?
Keiji Inafune wanted to basically sign a contract or whatever to continue working on the game, like not under Capcom, like under the company, and Capcom said no. He wanted to continue the project, but they wouldn't.
Yeah, I heard that. That's bullshit.
But he kind of burned a bridge and left the company.
Yeah.
It's also, did you guys hear about this? The story about Atari? Did you guys hear about the story about Atari and what they're doing?
What's that?
You guys hear the story?
No.
Well, they basically they're taking down all the like Atari sites, like the Atari2600.org, which is a fan site for Atari.
What?
These guys had the website for 11 years. They're going in and attacking these guys and pushing their lawyers to these guys. And if you go to Atari2600.org, you can see the guys has a statement saying I had to take it down due to legal status, and people are really upset. Atari Age is really pissed.
Wait, Atari Age
my good friend has the website Atari2600. Yeah, well, Atari Age, there's a whole bunch of people on Atari Age just really pissed off at Atari right now.
But are they going to attack Atari Age?
I don't know. It's yet to be seen. I have a good friend who has Atari2600.com, the domain that where they sell games. He's had it for 15 years, and in '95 they lost the copyright to Atari 2600. The name, the brand, Atari 2600 is like they lost that. Atari never kept that up with that. So I don't know how they're coming out for attacking these sites, but they're starting with the small guys, and it's too bad. It's kind of bullshit. Just sorry to change topic, but we're talking about how like bullshit companies are getting right now. So it's crazy.
Yeah, I know. I'm speechless too.
Jason's been speechless.
Do that.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Yeah. So I had to wander around the room for a sec. Yeah.
These companies just keep fucking with us. Just keep doing it.
I didn't even know Atari was even still around too. I thought they were just done.
The Atari today is not the Atari of the old. It's completely different. It's owned by a French company, and it's too bad. It really is too bad. But the fact that they're going after fan sites of all places, it's kind of like a slap in the face like Capcom did with Legends 3, right? I mean, it's bullshit.
All I'm gonna say is they keep fucking with me. I'm gonna, I'm an old school gamer. I'll fucking pull out board games. Okay, I won't fuck around with them.
I'll pull out I'll pull out the dice. It's gonna be done. I
used to play hide and seek on a board game, you guys, on a board game. So don't even talk to me about all this bullshit.
Well, yeah, I was playing pen and paper RPGs before there was console RPGs. That's how old I am.
So fuck them.
Back to them, Wade.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What else you been playing, Derek? Anything else besides Gears too?
I've just been developing other shows, so I've not been playing things casually. The new season for American television started, so not sure how this is the right venue to be talking about. But I've been watching, getting into Parks and Rec and Community. Those are both shows that have the new seasons debuted, and I was like, crap, I need to start watching these shows. So I've been watching a lot of that, and then also, for some reason, I realized I hadn't watched Mr. Show in a while. So I started watching some Mr. Show, some classic sketch comedy from the 90s.
I watched a bit of that.
What to say about that, though?
Nice. Awesome. Anything else, guys, or should we wrap it up? It's been 2 hours.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
So,
hey, Derek, it's awesome having you on the show. I know people can find you on RetroWare TV, which is a fantastic site. RetroWareTV.com.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, RetroWareTV.com. And then also check out StarshipAmazing.com is my music. Or just also on RetroWareTV.com, you can buy my DVD. I have an HVGN DVD shipping anywhere in the world. You got an address. I've shipped there already, I'll tell you. $20. I re-edited all my old videos I didn't do a George Lucas though. I just went to the original tapes and re-edited them exactly like I did, just so they're higher quality. I got commentaries, I got special features, so I appreciate check out the DVD too. Lots of good merch you can get at RetroWare. There's also T-shirts and other shows have DVDs and stuff, so please check that out.
Nice. Definitely. What's your YouTube channel?
Derek, did you add Jar Jar Binks at the very end of your DVD?
I mean, that you have to, naturally. George Lucas gave me $1 million, and I was like, I'll put Jar Jar Binks in. So I took out Neckbone and put in Jar Jar Binks to make my Star Tropics review even more annoying.
So where can people find you on YouTube? What's your YouTube? Because Low Fat Jello?
Yeah, Low Fat Jello or Lop Fat Jello. It's either way. It's just a stupid name that really means nothing. So there's no correct way to pronounce it. But I guess Lop Hat Jello is how you spell it. But so just type in HVGN or Happy Video Game Nerd and you'll get me.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. Is like, did you actually try to get the name Happy Video Game? Like a Happy Gamer Nerd or anything like that in the early days? Or
well, the name Low Fat Jello was just I'd had from high school that had somehow followed me through college. And then when YouTube started, I wanted to be able to look at like mature content, stuff with boobies, and also probably James's videos too. And I had to make an account. So I just went, Low Fat Jello. And I never had any plans to make YouTube videos. That was never a thing. And to be honest, the Happy Video Game Nerd, I had hoped that it would find an audience, that it would take off. But I never thought it actually would. I thought that I was going to make that one video and I was going to get flamed to death and be like, oh, fucking asshole ripping off Angry Nerd. But the response was actually rather positive. Not a huge response, but what response I got was positive. So I just kind of kept making videos on the Low Fat Jello account. And then once the show really found an audience, I was like too chicken shit to start a new site or start a new profile. Because I was like, no, if I leave now, I'll lose all my subscribers and that'll be the end.
You had to stick with it for sure.
But then I made it like my production company. And so whatever. Yeah, it's Low Fat Jello or Lop Hat Jello.
Nice.
At YouTube.
Awesome.
Yeah, youtube.com/LOPHATJELLO.
Well,
Definitely.
I guess on that note, we'll leave on this note.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
God damn.
Jesus. Right, that sounded like
we now know where the whale is. We know where the.
That's exactly. George Lucas listens to the podcast. Now we know.
Exactly.
He ripped it right off the podcast.
He stole the whale sound clip. It's 1 for 1 almost, actually. Wait, play that one more time, Jason.
It sounds exactly like it. I can't hear any difference. Oh, that is definitely the whale. We know what happened to the whale.
Dude. Wow. We mentioned in the last podcast that the whale went to Hollywood, right? Remember Jason said the whale went to Hollywood and became a star. He's starring in Star Wars.
Sure enough.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Awesome. Hey, Derek, don't take me some more of your time, but appreciate it, bro. Definitely check his channel out. Good guy. And
thanks a lot, guys. It was great being on the podcast. Thanks.
Totally. And from one happy guy to another, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's like that.
For being on.
Yeah.
Totally. See you later, Pete.
All right, take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
All right, take care, guys. Thanks again.
Until next time.
Hey, fuck you.